I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. More iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight the stars and cars of the Sim Speed Shop Premier Series heading off to Phoenix Raceway for the Sim Racers Club Desert 175. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth as always by Mr. Patrick Byrne. And I tell you what, Bizzle, last night we got to call an interesting race for the TNT Shock Series at Hickory. I think there could be some similarities here. The Next Gen car got an update in the updates that came out on Monday, as the PM18s did. The Phoenix Raceway is not the easiest racetrack to get around. Sometimes it can be incredibly difficult on tires and trying to manage fuel. There's a lot of similarities that are going to come into play between these two races.
Yes and no. I've from talking to some of the drivers for the race, the car feels almost identical. It may be a little bit tighter from what they're saying, which is the opposite of the effect we had with PM18. But other than that, they haven't really noticed any major changes. And even that tightness might just be placebo effect. I noticed that with a couple cars I was testing, and I started to think it might just all be in my head. They might not have touched really anything with this car.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because some of the testing that we were doing with the IR01, I was noticing that. The car just felt significantly tighter. Almost like there was an update to the tire model or something that they didn't...
Oh, the IR01 definitely had an update to the tire model. We were testing on ovals, and it's got a brand new oval package, man. We've got super hard Flintstone rocks on that car now.
Yeah, that could potentially be another series that makes a comeback. The DXS Delar Extreme Series, whatever we're going to call it. Before we ran it on short ovals, now it is a 1990s kart car, which is just absolutely incredible.
I found it to be more similar to the 2001, 2002 spec Champ cars. And maybe even the DPO1, it feels a lot what I would imagine that car would drive like. Just completely raw, unbeaten race car, which is definitely what the Beast of the 90s was, but the kind of forgotten Beast of the 2000s really were.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to running that car a whole lot. Practice is just finishing up here at the Phoenix Raceway. So let's throw a commercial up for those of you that are watching on YouTube. We appreciate your support. Unfortunately, YouTube is getting rid of on-screen display ads, which means going forward, you're probably going to get interruptions in your broadcast. We will do our best to work around those. We're only going to drop them in during caution flags, those types of things. We're not going to go full Fox Sports on you here in any way, shape, or form. If you're watching on Twitch, you get Twitch ads whenever Twitch feels like giving you ads, and we have absolutely no control over that. Well, we do, but if we do take control of it, they take away about 80% of our monetization. So, unfortunately, you just got to kind of deal with it. Qualifications are underway. Let's get the qualifying screen up here. Take a look at a couple of guys that have been very quick thus far this season. And actually, we'll also show you the points battle here right before the race kicks off, because it's a good one. But
I do want to give a shout out to my brother, just to thank you for letting me borrow his computer to go broadcast race. My parents. One question I do have for him, if he is watching, is how the hell did you shatter this computer monitor, and how long has it been like this? And I'm amazed it still works.
Oh, that's awesome. Johnny Avila going quick time, 27.507 seconds. Andrew Moore, about 9/100ths back, 84 thousandths to be specific. Kevin Dick, 1.3 seconds off the pace. He's putting all of his work here into lap number 2. J.D. Wardlow also on the board, currently about 2 seconds off of the pace. Take a look, see what lap number 2 is going to finish like for Johnny Avila, and it will be not quicker. Kevin Dick, quick time, 27.405 seconds. 27.405 for Kevin Dick, 133.049 miles per hour as he is finishing up his qualification run. Off at turn number 2, going to be the number 11 of Tyler Seville. The Chubby's entry into turn number 3. Coming around to finish up his qualifying run. Oh, and he's going to slide it past the line. We'll see if the lap counts. 27.574. Let's take a look at Hunter Waters in the 7. Also, A.J. Digby working his qualification run. Hunter Waters looks like does not have a lap that's going to score.
Hunter Waters looking like he was trying to get the hard charger award, and if he doesn't have anything that's going to score, unfortunately that does nullify him from getting the hard charger.
Yeah, no, he's going to be 9th quick. Lap number 2 does score for Hunter Waters. Let's take a look. A.J. Digby going to be 8th quick at a 29.217, so he's about 1.8 seconds off the pace. Good lap for Will Worsler, though, 27.467. See what he's going to be able to do on his second lap. See what Worsler can do on lap number 2 over the start-finish line, and he will be not quicker on lap number 2. Worsler's lap time 27.550. Let's pick up Richard Fletcher in the number 43. Once again, Fletch changing up the paint scheme on us, this time to a Brad Keselowski / Austin Cindric throwback. Oh, Richard Smith II banging the car off the outside safer barrier. That will nullify his first lap. He will take the tow, head back to pit lane. John Moeller also going to be on the racetrack. Well, he's coming to a stop as well, so man, it looks like everybody having some issues here in qualifications. Well, at least quite a few anyway.
Phoenix is tough to get every ounce of the car that you can out of it. What is now turn 3 and 4, and I'm going to call 1 and 2 throughout the night because seemingly I can't wrap my head around the start-finish line getting swapped around. Is very, very difficult to push on because it feels like you can go so much faster. It's so much more banked than the other end of the racetrack, but the exit just tightens up so much, you really have to sacrifice a lot going into the braking zone for turn 3.
Yeah, and it feels like this place, you used to be able to, you would almost hook off what is now turn 4 and make this big, huge dive almost immediately down to the apron. With the extension of pit lane, the pit exit wall, you can't make that turn as quickly. I mean, it really has changed the entire way you drive this place, even if the shape of it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, with how far they let you cut the corner here, by moving the wall that's 40 feet from the yellow line, it's a whole different track. Which I really wish they let us keep 2Nix because that, I think, was the best version of the track. I would have to put 3Nix or 1X, if you want to call it that. The original grass version, I think, will always be the best, but I definitely like the 2 Nicks more than this 3 Nicks we have with the start-finish line on what is really the backstretch.
Yeah, wait. The shorthand for this layout is the 3Nix layout. And the other one, oh, how about it? New quick time hold up here, Mike Larch. 27,360. 133.269 miles per hour. That was a heater for the 2.
No, I just said new guy. Can I get a fact check? Is this his first race in the series?
You can check that if you go to Sim Racer Hub. You should be able to pull that up. Oh, so yeah, you're out of luck then. Yeah. We are his eyes and ears tonight, which is never a good sign. Large hot lap. Let's see. Richard Smith still out on the racetrack. Daniel Pinkston, Brandon Bledsoe have not taken a lap yet in qualifications. Still 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. As you'll hear the number 23 of Richard Smith II circulating around here. So let's pick him up, show him from the wide shot here.
Yeah, I've been moved out 2 weeks now. They've already gotten rid of my other TV that I would have hooked up to this so I could have a second monitor. And they got rid of just about all my stuff. I found my Mustang seat hiding in the corner of the closet. I'm glad I could grab that because the other chair was squeaky and annoying. Yeah, I'm at home, but I don't feel very at home.
Who says you can't go home? Let's take a look at the point standings entering the night as we promised. Johnny Avila sitting on 113 markers. Kevin Dick is only 2 back. Hunter Waters 1 behind Dick in the 3rd position. This is really a still wide open championship though. Everybody inside the top 10 is within 30 points. Taking a look even down to page number 2. You get down to Craig Stykes, 71 points back, 20th in points. That's a little bit far, but you do have some drop weeks that you may be able to factor in. But this is going to be an interesting points battle to watch here as this season progresses.
Not only that, it's only week 3. If he's lost 71 points in 3 races, there's still 33 more races. He can get all those points back very easily. As long as he shows up every week, puts in consistent finishes, you know, maybe not winning and burning the house down every week, but consistently, I think he can still make it back up there in the top 10.
Wait for Phoenix when they make it a half mile.
No, Phoenix is going to be when they take all the pavement from Auto Club and then just dump it here and give us a 2-mile speedway here.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to see Kimmy versus Jordan Taylor. I believe he means he's speaking of Rodney Sandstorm. That's who we will be seeing down at the Circuit of the Americas. Chase Elliott out for the next 6 weeks, it sounds like. It'll be Josh Berry driving the car at the 5 ovals. And the 6th race at Circuit of the Americas going to be Jordan Taylor. If you haven't yet, do a search for Rodney Sandstorm on Instagram. The video, he put himself in the intro to 60 Minutes a few weeks ago.
Oh my God.
It's beautiful.
I've been following up with his series on his main account, the Jordan Taylor 10 account. His main account is fantastic, and for years he's had this series of My Perfect First Date. And each and every one of them is just fantastic and gets close to the border of, I think you'd get arrested on this first date.
Yes, absolutely love Jordan Taylor. Yes, Kimi Räikkönen in the number 91. That's the Trackhouse kind of all-star entry. I think with a race under his belt and having done this a little bit, I think Kimi might actually be pretty decent on the Cup side. I know he ran some races in the trucks and all, but it's a different world when you make the jump to Cup.
On my drive home today, as I sat in traffic on the BQE for about 18 hours, I listened to the legendary Dave Moody chatting with Jordan Taylor. And on one hand, he's a very, very funny, obviously, if you check out his Instagram, hilarious individual. But he's also very technical, and especially on the road course side of stuff, one of the smartest guys you'll find on the grid, which is why Hendrick Motorsports has commissioned him not only to drive the 9 car for Coda, but also helping with the Garage 51 project. And he's tested road course stuff for them for years because he is just that good and very technical with helping the crew chiefs out.
Yeah, we'll get to talking about that one a little bit as well. But excuse me, let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race. Lining up on the pole with a lap speed of 133.269 miles per hour, it will be the number 2 Mellow Yellow Ford Mustang of Michael Large. Lining up alongside, only 45 thousandths of a second back, the 52 Custom Paints and Diecast Chevrolet Camaro of Kevin Dick. Row number 2 will have the Metabo HPT number 29 Chevrolet of Will Worsler. Lining up alongside the number 63 of Johnny Avila. He still has the great Dale Earnhardt paint scheme. I'm not sure why we're getting fed the iRacing one there, but you'll see. It's going to be hard to miss Johnny Avila here tonight. Starting inside of row number 3 will be the 11 of Tyler Seville. The Chubbies, is that a Chubby Pineapple? I'm going to leave it alone. Number 11, Toyota Camry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, let's leave that one alone.
Just so long as he doesn't end up on his roof. The Weiss Markets number 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. New colors there for Moore. Pretty sharp-looking race car on the number 77 here this evening. Lining up on row number 4 will be another new face to the Sim Racers Club Premier Series. That's Justin Rideout, lining up alongside Lee Campbell in the Mountain Dew Zero Sugar number 4 Chevy Camaro. Row 5 will have the 28 of Troy Haight lining up alongside of Tim Knott, still not half a second in qualifying back to the 10th place car.
I see what you did there.
Row number 6, Richard Smith II and Thomas Wilhite. Row 7, Richard Fletcher and J.D. Wardlow. John Moeller, A.J. Digby on row 8. Row 9, Hunter Waters and Daniel Pinkston. And Brandon Bledsoe going to be all alone as the field now under the control of Michael Large, but they've got to get to the start zone before he can take off. And that's going to come
a long way around.
Almost,
With the penalties iRacing's put in on these starts, this is the hardest track to start at because you have to almost hold the right foot on the cruise control or you'll get a black flag.
Green flag in the air. We are underway here at Phoenix. How about Johnny Avila down to the inside? He wants the race lead into into turn 1. Oh, I already did it. See if he can hold on to it, and he will.
Yeah, Lark's learning what these guys in the series can do with Johnny Avila just aggressively taking the lead, going, you might have got the pole, buddy, but let me show you how we do it in this series. Defending champion Johnny Avila, and almost tied with him, Kevin Dick right behind, making a large sandwich right there. Kevin Dick gonna look to the inside now, and these two champions probably gonna take the lead here.
Well, we are under caution already. Early issue here. Let's take a look. Possibly trouble for J.D. Wardlow. Let's take a look, see if we can see what happened here. Wardlow having a couple of issues early on. Yeah, let's flip you over here and get you the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. See what happens down into turn number 1. Wardlow gets it way up to the outside, kisses it off the wall, and John Moeller absolutely nowhere to go.
Oh, man, John Moeller's first race of the season after being out on vacation for a little bit. Unfortunately, has a warm welcome. Not the way he wanted to.
Yeah, not the way he wanted to start. J.D. Wardlow going to be on pit lane. Looks like Tim Knott will also be there. John Moeller's going to be making his way down. Tim Knott off of pit lane, 7.7 seconds. I would think that's a fuel thing there, Patrick, because one of the things that we were talking about in the pre-race is that it looks like the fuel window is going to be somewhere from 87 to 90 laps. The, let's see, stages are at lap 40 and lap 90. Stage 1 will get the yellow flag. So that tells me you're going to see a pit stop at lap 40, and then you're going to try to run that 87 to 90 laps. But you're going to have to really conserve tires because they only have 3 sets available to them.
Yeah, but with the way the math works out, if they're only pitting for fuel, they should have an extra set in the box. So I don't know if tires are a huge concern, Unless the tire wear is so bad that they need to make a stop purely for tires.
That's what it sounded like. The word we were getting, talking to some of the Will Worsler Racing guys in in the practice session before we came on the air, was the number sounded like if you were running shifting from 4th to 5th gear, you were absolutely going to bake your tires off. If you ran the entire race in 4th gear, you might be okay. About the only way to really make the tires last was to run 5th gear and absolutely baby the race car the entire way around.
Yeah, which is very tough to do when you got fast guys you're trying to keep up with. The really, really fast guys be able to do it effortlessly, but if you're a little bit towards the back end pace, you're going to be shifting, trying to catch up to these guys, match their pace, and you're going to absolutely burn your stuff off. And that's what kind of sets these front runners apart from the mid-pack guys.
Let's go on board with Kevin Dick for the restart here. The Sim Speed Shop on board as the field's going to make their way into turn number 3. Wow, great jump for Johnny Avila on that restart. Large snookered. Kevin Dick going to be all the way down to the inside. He's easily going to grab second by the time they get to turn 3.
Yeah, Larch obviously showing speed here in qualification, but qualifying and racing are two whole different things, and I don't know, I've never seen how he runs before, so maybe he'll be able to keep pace with these guys and save his tires, or maybe he's going to burn his stuff up trying to keep up with them, so it'll be a fun one to watch it.
Johnny Avila goes fastest lap as Tyler Seville looks inside the number 8 of Justin Rideout.
I want to say Justin Rideout is an awesome race car driver.
Man, now Seville really going to have to battle, though, here. Hunter Waters, Lee Campbell are both there. Waters way down to the inside.
Really trying to get that soft charger.
It's almost like you're attempting a slide job.
That's exactly what you're doing. You're just trying to cut underneath them and slide up in front of them and just hope you're clear by the time you cut them off. It's almost like driving in New York traffic.
We got a buddy checking in the comments here, Bizzle. Carter Lundy watching the show tonight saying Phoenix is better than Phoenix.
Well, yes. For stock cars, I have to say Tunix is the best version. But for open wheel cars, absolutely Phoenix is the best version. And to all our viewers at home who don't know what any of this means, the 2012 version of Phoenix is the best for stock cars. 2008 prior version is best for open wheel cars. And this current version, I am not a fan.
Yes. Let's see. AJ Digby coming down pit lane. Looks like that may be a damage repair on the number 14 because the car is not up on the jacks. So
either damage repair or maybe he's having a mechanical failure over there in the rear world where maybe a cat unplugs something on the wheel and his button box isn't working or something he wants to get fixed real early in the race before it becomes a much bigger issue towards the end when you can't make it out.
90210 is giving us piles of dad jokes in the Twitch comments. They're so bad I'm not even going to put them on the air.
You're going to make me go check the Twitch chat.
If you learn how to speak first, yes. Digby down and away 37.47 seconds, so we'll see if we can check in with AJ at some point here. Kevin Dick making the move on Johnny Avila. Not quite going to be able to pull it there off at turn number 2. Mike Larch going to have the look inside of Kevin Dick.
You can see how much lower Johnny Avila is running than Kevin Dick. Johnny Avila is almost running the Kevin Harvick line here, where he sticks those left sides right around the yellow line over there in what is now 3 and 4. Or, no, what is now 1 and 2. What used to be 3 and 4. This end of the racetrack.
Yes. Tell you a little bit about Phoenix Raceway here. 9 degrees of banking at turns 1 and 2. It is a little bit flatter at this end of the racetrack. That's correct. I think some of this is going to be looking, not only hunting for grip, but also finding where you feel like you're just going to push the car less. We're at lap number 14, so we're approaching halfway through stage number 1. But if you want to try to save a set of tires, you kind of have to break 175 laps up into thirds. That's not going to be the easiest run to make.
No, and especially at 175 laps trying to break down the thirds. I like to make the numbers easy and do mental math, and frankly, I can't do 175 divided by 3 in my head. Especially not while driving a race car. Dino2 Unowned is now PMing me dead news.
That's fantastic. So things are settling in here at the front. I mean, everything is tight, even back to 5th place, Andrew Moore Jr. You fall back another half second or so behind Moore, you'll pick up Will Wursler. Everybody else, this is really kind of interesting to look at, because some of these guys that we might have expected to charge really quickly through the field, Hunter Waters, Tyler Seville are 2 of them, they're kind of stuck in 7th and 9th place respectively. I almost wonder if this isn't a little bit of just take the medicine and say we're not going to charge it as hard.
No, just kind of sit there with some patience and wait. It's a long race. 175 laps around here is a while. They run what? 312 laps here in Berlin? That's almost a 4-hour race. So you really have to pace yourself. This is maybe not one of the longest mileage races we run this season, but this is definitely going to be one of the longest time races we run this season.
Let me take a look here and see what happened to Tyler Seville, because that car looks like it may have had an issue. Let's bring it up for you here in the side-by-side. I don't know if he kissed the outside wall or got just way up the racetrack, but he really had to back it down. Oh!
There is no progressive banking here at Phoenix, at least not to my knowledge. So once you get way up there, there's really no shade here, so the track is very hot. As well as there's no rubber up there, so the car just wants to go straight. So you have to stay in the binders the entire way through the corner and just try to get it to turn down.
Hunter Waters having to look inside of Will Wursler. He's going to move himself up to the 6th position as they come across the start-finish line. I would have to think that those transitions would be incredibly difficult on the tires, just because you're making harder turns, if that makes sense. Coming off of turn 4, it's a big hook down to the inside, and then you're kind of sliding the car back up onto the banking.
It's not that bad because you're doing it all in one fluid motion. You're not jerking the car down there. You're kind of in that arc going through the corner. It really hurt the cars when the IndyCar, or the redacted cars used to run here. But I never noticed a huge issue with it in any of the stock cars. But the open wheel vehicles definitely did not like that transition, because those you were definitely sliding them, they were kind of bouncing a bit as you dropped that transition. These things are so heavy, they kind of just roll over it like a Jeep.
Kevin Dix still trying to get inside of Johnny Avila. Avila is able to make that outside lane work through 1 and 2. This place looks so incredibly different with the changes in the grandstands, how the front stretch grandstands were imploded, and everything was kind of moved to the what is now turns 3 and 4 end of the racetrack. Rattlesnake Hill's still a great spot to watch the race from. And quite frankly, an almost straight-on view with the start-finish line, just from really far away.
Yeah, I'm sure the change of picking up the grandstand and wrapping it around the other end of the racetrack will grow on me eventually, but it's been, what, 2 years now, and it just still feels wrong.
Yes, eventually there will be a different fan base that won't remember that. But for those of us that remember this the old way, yeah, it just feels weird. Before I forget here, as we're working lap number 25, let's get a quick thank you into all the sponsors that make these shows happen here, including SimSpeedShop.com, the entitlement sponsor of the Sim Racers Club Premiere Series. Check them out at SimSpeedShop.com for all of your sim racing hardware accessory needs. Good stuff. I got to get in touch with Sam. If I'm going to update my stuff, I think I just need to, update it. Like, direct drive wheel button boxes, just build a whole sim cockpit. Also need to say a big thank you to Northland Leisure putting up the award 4-hour stage winners. That is a little bit of cash going out the door every week, courtesy of Northland Leisure. You can find them at Facebook at Northland Leisure. Also, Realty Executive Saskatoon putting up the award for the fastest lap. Right now, that award belongs to Tim Knott, 130.797 miles per hour. Also, Custom Paints and Diecast putting up the cash sponsor for the hard charger and the biggest loser of each race event. Still under green flag conditions. Looks like J.D. Wardlow may have had an issue on the racetrack. Looks like A.J. Digby is out.
You know, what you're saying about getting a rig?
Wait, caution is out on the speedway. Let's take a look here and see if we can't see pick this one up on the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. Is Wardlow down into turn number 3, just got way high up on the racetrack.
And just banked into the wall trying to keep clear of Tyler's mill.
And then
pouring oil all over the track.
Now this is where the cause of the caution comes in, as the car kind of goes for a little bit of a loop here down to the inside. So it looks like that may be the end of the night for J.D. Wardlow. Tyler Seville is on pit lane out of the 11th position, so an early strategy call for Tyler Seville to come down to the pit lane.
But Sim Speed Shop, great spot to just pick up any rig gear that you need, and getting a rig is the single best upgrade you could do. If you're going to stick with the same general hardware, same wheelbase, same pedals, your wheelbase will actually put out frequencies that you won't feel on a wheel, but if it's bolted down to a rig, it'll send those frequencies down to your feet, down to the seat of your pants, and you'll feel things you didn't feel before, and it'll get you more in tune with the car. Like, I notice when driving GT3 cars, when I get on the ABS, I can feel that in the pedals just because of how solid the rig is, that I know, hey, I'm getting on the ABS, I'm pushing it as far as it's going to go. And that's kind of stuff you don't feel when you're got your wheel just bolted or clamped to a desk. So, as long as you get something stiffer than the cheapest of cheap eBay rigs you can buy, it's the best upgrade you could do.
90210 saying 4-hour race. You mean 1 hour of racing and 3 hours of commercials. Ask and you shall receive. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll be right back. If you're watching on Twitch, you could be in a commercial right now. I don't know. It is entirely up to Twitch, like we said, when you get served the commercials.
Well, That's why it is an endurance event for the consumer as well as the drivers, because the consumer has to endure not changing the channel during the commercials and then forgetting there's a race on.
So it looks like we are going to go at least one more lap behind the iRacing safety truck.
No, you have to remember, it's at least 2 more laps, because the pace car pulls in and they do another full lap without the pace car.
That is correct. But they will, I believe this is where, if they're going to get the 1-to-go signal, this is where drivers have to commit to their lines, either on the high side of the racetrack up against the outside wall, or all the way down to the inside. And yep, we're going to see this here.
Now, you only have to go as far down as the yellow line, but Johnny Avila making it incredibly obvious he is going to be taking the inside line.
Yes. Now, this is sort of what we're talking about here. You'll see the pace truck make the left-hand turn, basically exiting turn 2. In fact, you didn't even get to the turn 2 markings on the wall yet.
And
the pace truck is in.
Before iRacing implemented the start zones, you had from there where the pace car pulled in to the start-finish line to go. So Phoenix was a really fun track when they implemented this version, because I would hold the field, and right about where I got here, I would just punch it and leave the whole field sleeping, because you were allowed to go there. And it's really fun to just screw people.
Johnny Avila taking him way deep into the start box. He's going to easily grab the lead. Kevin Dick going to follow him all the way down to the apron. Top 3 will remain unchanged. At least the drivers in the top 3 will remain unchanged. Andrew Moore looks like he's going to be able to clear Justin Rideout off of turn number 2. Rideout going to get the good run down the straightaway, though. He'll be able to fight back on the outside. Now it's go time here, Bizzle. Lap number 34 is going up on the board. That means we're going to have 6-7 laps to go here in stage number 1. And then we're going to get the caution flag, and these guys will have a chance to stop for tires. So smoke them if you got them and use them up right here.
See, now remembering the caution swing down at lap 40, I think I would have pulled in the pits to grab the tires now. And, you know, maybe sacrifice some of the stage points, but get that track position for later.
Wow, Hunter Waters, that was a moment. He's got the boss man, Will Wursler, up on the outside.
Now there's a rule of racing.
Buddy.
Don't wreck your teammate, and especially don't wreck the team owner.
That is correct. Especially if you don't want them to absolutely uncork on you. Oh, hold on to it! Wow, great save, Hunter Waters.
He did.
He saved it.
Hard charge of doing that, but still plenty of race left to go. He is taking all of the goodie off of those tires. He's going to have to wait for that lap 40 caution.
I almost wonder at this point, well, I see the problem is the pit lane is just so long. I don't know that you could make the pit stop now under green before the pit lane closes.
Not only that, you'd go a lap down easily under green flag pit stop. You might even go 2 here with how long the pit lane is. Pit lane is almost half the track long. And being a short track, pit lane speed is 30 miles an hour versus the 140 they're doing down the straightaway. So I don't think I'd want to pit under green here if I don't have to.
So Johnny Avila right now holding command of this race as we're going to come down to 2 to go, and the drivers will hear that pit road is closed. As in the real world, they close the pits with 2 laps to go. Basically stops anybody from pulling shenanigans. I don't know that you would necessarily take, I don't know that you would do that in this instance, but pit lane is now closed. Hearing one car bouncing off the outside wall.
You don't want to do that.
No, you don't. One more lap to go here in stage number 1. Johnny Avila holding a 3.5 tenths lead over Kevin Dick.
A comfortable, but not overly anything to be excited about kind of lead.
Oh, we may have trouble on the racetrack for Will Worsler here as well. Off of turn number 4, green and white checkered in the air. And Johnny Avila will claim the win in stage number 1. Yellow flag will come out once 10th place has crossed the start-finish line. And now the caution flag is out. And let's take a look here. First, we'll get you the graphic up. Johnny Avila, your Northland Leisure Stage winner. Let's very quickly show you the hot actually, we'll do it after the cycle of pit stops here, I think. We do have the replay of what happened to Will Worsler there on the final lap of the stage. But here's the other headache, Patrick. You're coming down this pit lane. It is so long, it can be difficult to manage speed. It's not like these cars have a pit speed limiter.
No, they just have a light on the dash that turns green when you're at the speed limit. It's got a couple red lights if you're below it, and it turns all the way red if you're above it. If that sounds confusing, that's because it is.
Can confirm. Johnny Avila going to be the first one to hit his marks. Let's see. Let's go to... Oh, good Lord. Grab the right camera here, Goon. There we go. We'll go to the overhead. Crew's already around to the left-hand side. Kevin Dick down and away, 7.58 seconds. Mike Larch going to be the second one off a pit lane. Justin Rideout will be third off the pit lane. The first one to take full service, Johnny Avila, 14.43 seconds, but he will not win the race off of pit lane. That honor is going to belong to Kevin Dick. However, he will not be your race leader at the restart, at least not yet. That's going to be the 41 of Tim Knott, who elected to stay out on the racetrack, only with 13 laps on his set of tires. I know it can be ugly here, Patrick, but sometimes the clean air strategy can work.
Yeah, especially at a track like Phoenix. Phoenix is not an easy track to pass at. This is a track you kind of have to stick your nose underneath someone, get him either in the dog leg, get him going into what is now turn 1, but confusingly turn 1 because it isn't the dog leg turn 1.
No, it's the dog leg. It says so on the wall.
Well, I know it says so. That's a turn. That's the first turn after the start-finish line.
Yes.
This should be turn 2 here.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a track where you really just need to get underneath someone coming into what they call turn 1 and try and pass them there, and you won't get passed on until what is now turn 4.
Well, let's take a look here. We have the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay queued up. See what happened to Will Worsler here at the 1 to go. The car just hops the little bit on the apron, goes for the slide. Big hit. Wow. How about, good Lord, that was Troy Haight. Hold up. Let's back this up and go on board with Troy Haight for that one. Because this is going to be absolutely wild looking from Troy Haight's car. Go on board. We'll see Will Worsler make the dive. Whoa!
That's not scary at all.
No, not in the slightest. Good Lord, that was ridiculous. Pace truck is in. It'll be Tim Knott, Mike Larch on the front row. Kevin Dick electing to restart on the inside out of second, so he'll actually be third. He wants the apron. I'm fairly convinced here. Stage number 2 getting underway, once again presented by Northland Leisure. Green flag goes in the air. Oh man, Knott just does not get going. He's heading for the apron. They're going to be 4 and 5 wide coming back up onto the racing surface.
This is the racing that Phoenix is known for putting on.
Yeah, they're still 3 wide, a little bit deeper in the pack. Kevin Dick able to grab the race lead. Johnny Avila into second. Large going to fall back to the 3rd position. Here's where having those now 17-lap old tires is really going to hurt Tim Knott. He is going to fall like a rock here as Johnny Avila looking inside of Kevin Dick.
Johnny Avila doing Dale proud in that sprint team.
Man, these guys are absolutely all over the place.
Oh man, hang on to it. That 8 car getting slideways.
Oh man, oh, and there's the contact. Big shot into the outside wall goes the number 8 of Justin Rideout. We'll see. It looks like we're going to stay green.
Oh man, the first thing they teach you in racing school is if you hit the wall that hard, you hold the brake, stop, and bring the caution out. But he kept it rolling, and we're going to stay green.
Well, yeah, because if I remember correctly, that can be a racecraft penalty as well. If you bring out a caution in what the race controls view is kind of needlessly, that can also be a penalty. So
if you're gonna hit the wall anyway, I'd smash the brakes, spin the car. You just gotta make it look at an accident. Tim Knott might be doing that for him.
Yep, there's Tim Knott buried on the inside of the racetrack. And again, he's
we're holding with the consistency.
You know what? You're off the racetrack.
Yep, you're out of the way. I like the consistency. I would have called that a caution, but we're staying consistent. That's not a caution. As long as it's consistent, there's no harm, no foul.
Honestly, I absolutely love the call. Keep these races green as much as you possibly can. Keep it in the driver's hands. Don't let them just circulate under yellow because somebody banged the car off the wall.
I forget that this isn't the real world, and we don't have to worry about drivers getting hurt. The worst injury you're going to get sim racing is broken wrist if you decide to spend 18 grand on your steering wheel for wrist-breaking powers. Hunter Waters now officially currently with the hard charger, going from basically last to the 1st position right now.
Yeah, he's had a great run through the field here. Let's pull up the spotlight box on Hunter Waters. Started 17th. That was the lowest he ran. Highest was 1st at the start-finish line, and he may lose 2 spots in one corner as Andrew Moore Jr. going to grab the race lead, and Johnny Avila follows him through.
But he gets to run on the low side. That's one interesting thing about Phoenix. Is you can dive in the corner really well here and get to run on the low side, which is not something that's usually seen.
Looking at 2 battles here. One is towards the front of the field between Johnny Avila and Hunter Waters. That's in the big box. The second box going to have the 28 of Troy Haight, also the 4 of Lee Campbell, the 2 of Mike Larch.
Now, Avila and Waters, they know first off that they're both teammates, and second off that we're not even a third of the way through this race.
Yeah, that's one of those that you kind of wonder, like, what are we thinking here? Kevin Dick, I think, is running. Oh, save it! Wow! Richard Smith pushed up the racetrack. Nice job to keep control of the race car. Kevin Dick gets way up on the outside. Possibly going to lose the position to Troy Haight. Troy Haight's playing with house money at this point now, so he is going to go absolutely ballistic for the rest of this race. Yeah, I wonder if this isn't a little bit of a tire conservation strategy here out of Kevin Dick. There's just no need to be putting up monster lap times. And he's a full half-second a lap slower than what Andrew Moore is doing at the front of the field right now. But Moore is also 0.6 faster than Hunter Waters in second as well.
Yeah, we're not guaranteed a caution from this point on, so maybe you want to save your stuff and maybe short pit a little bit, or maybe take a long pit. I don't know what's going to work. But I can tell you almost for a fact, I think Andrew Moore Jr. is pushing a little too hard.
Well, let's bring back up the side-by-side here. This is the other good battle on the racetrack right now. Well, actually, what Troy Haight is doing is the great battle here. Haight looking inside of the 23 of Richard Smith II. The Woodfather, number 28, putting himself up into the 4th position. As caution is out, yellow flag on the speedway, and it's going to be trouble for John Moeller. Now, this is one of those spots where there's just no way that you're going to come down pit road. Let's take a look at the Hot Shoe Raceway instant replay, see what happened to John Moeller. Little scrape on the outside wall. Car slides up the racetrack and in front of, and Tim Knott, nowhere to go. Let's back it up a little bit here on the replay and show you. We'll go on board with Tim Knott. Unlucky is the best word I can use for this one.
Yeah, just nowhere to go. And sometimes you get those incidents in racing where if you look at the replay and you go 30 seconds back, yeah, if I ran high into a blind corner, I could have missed it. But unfortunately, it's just the way you're going. It's kind of like the wreck we saw at St. Pete this weekend in the IndyCars. Yeah, nothing he could do here. He was
gotta
well
hold the
committed to that
brakes. Yeah, unfortunately for Tim Knott, that car looks to be pretty much junked as well. In fact, Tim Knott now appears as though he will be out of this race. John Moeller coming down the pit lane, as is Kevin Dick. This is an interesting call here, Patrick, because unless you have some sort of damage, I don't see any reason for some of these guys to be down pit lane unless, well, no, maybe not, because you're in the window to make it on fuel. Yes.
No.
No, actually.
No, not even close.
No, I don't.
Yeah, we're still well over 100 laps.
You know what, though? These guys didn't take tires the last time. They were like 6-second pit stops on that first round of stops.
Oh, yeah. So taking the tires now that we're going to bunch the whole field back together and try and punch up through the field.
So let's pick up our race leader, Andrew Moore Jr. as A.J. Digby going to be coming out of the box. 4th caution flag of the night. In fact, let's give you the full race summary here. 4 cautions for 15 total laps by the time this one's over. 5 different leaders, 5 lead changes. Tim Knott still owns the fastest lap of the race. Presented by Realty Executives Saskatoon. Weather conditions out here in Phoenix, actually not all that bad. Air temperature 77 degrees, track temps 87. Not crazy warm or anything else. I'll tell you what, the conditions are pretty good here. Now, the setup did change, but they opened up practice an extra hour early. These guys had plenty of time to adjust to this. I think we're going to see a really great race here as we get towards the second half.
Yeah, they got more than twice the practice that the real NASCAR teams do. So, expecting some big things out of these guys. Now, Johnny Avila, I know, usually hops into the session about 10 minutes before registration closes. It's the first time he's seen the track driving this car, and he seems to be doing just fine. The rest of the field needs to step their game up.
Avila with a big move on Andrew Moore Jr. He'll grab the race lead. Before they even get to turn number 2, Moore going to slot in line down the back straightaway. See if he's going to try it here into 1, into 3, and he will. The interesting there is that by getting himself to the inside, you kind of take that shortcut away from Johnny Avila a little bit. Man, this is just like you said, though, Patrick. You're basically attempting the pass for a lap and a half before you actually know if you're going to get around them or not.
Yeah, for me at least, it takes at least a lap to get it done. You have to set them up the lap before, dive under them going for the dog leg, stay under them in what is now turns 1 and 2, and then finally make the move off what is now turn 4. It's a very, very difficult track to make a pass at, which is why you see cars side by side for so long.
Well, one guy who's not having all that much difficulty passing cars right now is Troy Haight, and Kevin Dick is doing it as well. I almost wonder if running that apron line isn't hurting you in terms of tire wear, because we're not seeing Kevin Dick spend a ton of time down there. But the Will Worsler racing cars are, and that's who we've seen, at least amongst the front runners that have had issues. It's been those guys that have been abusing the apron.
Yeah, using a bit of the apron is something that's come to be known here at Phoenix. Is you have to use it. I don't want to say have to. You can set just as fast a lap not using it. But just through that dog leg, you have a huge advantage cutting that corner, and you can get a pass done going through there. But you do go faster through turn 1 now, turns 1 and 2, if you cut the dog leg. So it's kind of a trade-off there.
Lee Campbell getting some moves made here. He's up to the 6th position now. Cars that are out of the race include, I believe, let's see, AJ Digby is still on the racetrack, but Tim Knott is out. John Moeller running multiple laps down. Will Worsler is a bunch of laps down. J.D. Wardlow also a ton of laps down here, 47 to be specific. Tightest battle on the racetrack right now is going to be Johnny Avila, Hunter Waters, and Troy Haight. Andrew Moore has the gap at about 0.3 of a second or so. He's just out of the frame. There's Andrew Moore, Kevin Dick. And then you go back about 1.5 seconds to get to Johnny Avila. I am really interested. In fact, let's go on board here with Andrew Moore and take a look at the cockpit view. You'll see he's in 5th gear. We'll see if he does any shifting over the course of the lap.
And you can see, unlike the rear world, we don't blur out dashboard. We just put zeros over all the sensitive information.
That is correct. So Andrew Moore not shifting. Kevin Dick going to be down to his inside, though. Let's go on board with Kevin Dick. You see, he's in 4th gear.
It is definitely faster to shift or sit in 4th gear, but it's definitely a lot easier on the car to stay in 5th gear. Which is something I noticed when I used to run the Xfinity cars. That's how I would get passes done in Iowa. I would stay in 4th gear the whole lap, but when I was getting ready to dive in and make the pass, jam it in the 3rd, really get the car to engine brake, get that car to turn, because it turns much better in the lower gear because of the engine braking, which moves the brake bias rearward a little bit, or at least that's the feeling on the car you get. And then it gives you much more of a punch coming off the corner.
I'll tell you,
it is very difficult on the car, and it really burns up the rear tires.
This is interesting, Patrick, is on board with Kevin Dick. He's not shifting. He's just running 4th gear. You're going to keep a little bit more RPM in the engine that way. I would imagine maybe doing a little bit more harm to your tires. But if we go back to Andrew Moore, you'll see he's running the lap in 5th gear. It's not a huge difference in terms of the ratio and outright speed. The bigger thing is you'll see he's here at 60-some hundred, in fact down into the 5,500 range mid-corner.
You can see he's about 1,500 RPM lower. So with staying in the higher gear, you're getting a little bit less engine braking, which is going to move the brake bias forward because you're not having the rear tires brake from the compression of the engine. You're also getting less punch off the corner, so if you find you're snappier to the throttle, staying in 5th gear will help you keep the rear end more under control. And it'll save the tires a bunch, but not only that, it'll save fuel a bunch. Now, pulling out of the corner initially, you're going to use a little more fuel because you're going to be lugging the engine, and it needs more fuel to compensate to keep the engine from bogging down. But that's just initially as you step up the power. After that, it uses much less fuel to stay in the higher gear.
Johnny Avila is right now hemorrhaging time. Slide back and pick him up. Sitting right about 2.5 seconds back, now down to 2.4. So he's gaining a little bit on Andrew Moore, but inside of 15 laps to go here in stage number 2, it's sort of got the feeling of Johnny Avila is going to be content to sit there in 3rd and just let this stage play out the rest of the way and see if these guys are going to come back to him.
Yeah, you also remember, Johnny Avila doesn't have any practice. He's playing this just by ear. So he might just be sitting here, just doing what feels right. Maybe he's got AJ Digby in his ear. They're working on some weird strategy that they'll never tell us about. But it also might just be that Kevin Dick has this track so much more figured out than him. He's got a ton more practice. Maybe he was playing around from the moment the update dropped and practicing this. So it could be a ton of things. It's almost like NASCAR introduced a massive rule change just before a race. Kind of like what they did for the LA Coliseum race, where everyone was kind of just playing it by ear and figuring out it as they went, who picked it up faster.
Yeah, that's something that I don't think we saw in the update for these cars was the short track package, which I don't know that they would run that at Phoenix anyway.
Which actually, for this week at Phoenix, because I was listening to Dave Moody on my drive up today, they do have a massive rule change package.
Yeah,
Phoenix that might be reflected in this update.
Yeah, it's 2 inches shorter on the spoiler.
They are running the same amount of downforce that they were running in the early 90s. This is the least amount of downforce we've seen in a NASCAR Cup car since the early 90s.
Which is interesting because they're making it all basically the entire thing from the underside of the car at this point. Taking out some of the strakes at the back at the diffuser, so they're not able to directionalize the air coming out from the underside of the race car. Also, that shorter spoiler, you have to get the suck from the back end to really plant that car down.
Yeah, so the racing we should see this weekend at Phoenix should be a lot like what we saw in the early 90s when everyone called it the golden age of NASCAR. So hopefully this makes all the fans happy. Hopefully we get a real good show, but I'm also kind of weary of it because F1 looks at the old races with rose-colored glasses, but I go back, I pick up VHS tapes of the old races whenever I go to a trade show or something, someone's selling them, and I'll watch them, and frankly, if you go back and take those rose-colored glasses off and watch the old races, a lot of them weren't that good. Other than the highlights reels we see now and put into the 60-minute segments that they show on Fox Sports 2, a lot of the racing wasn't that great. And I know that's a hot take, but...
No, the racing wasn't good. Petty versus Pearson, the 1976 Daytona 500, was Petty and Pearson, and third place was, I believe, 9 laps down at the finish. Petty still finished second in that race that he didn't finish. I am with you on the rose-colored glasses for the good old days. Don't get me wrong, there were some absolutely incredible races. The Dale Earnhardt-Terry Labonte finishes at Bristol. There was only a handful of cars on the lead lap in each of those races.
Yeah, you look at the racing today, and you might go, well, they weren't too wide for the win. There was 6 seconds between first place and second place. Yeah, but there's 25 cars in the lead lap. The competition today, I would say even a driver like Corey LaJoie, you put Dale Earnhardt Sr. in the field today, at Dale Earnhardt Sr. prime, in the equipment Corey LaJoie is in, he'd probably finish about 26th, right where Corey LaJoie is finishing. So
yeah, it is so much about the equipment now.
So much more competitive now.
Quite frankly, that's one of the things I enjoy about watching these guys in the Sim Racers Club Sim Speed Shop series is the fact that you're seeing identical cars on iRacing. There is no difference between the Chevy, the Ford, and the Toyota. The setup is fixed as well. So what you're seeing is the driver's ability to work with the setup to deliver the best performance throughout the run. We're seeing that right now with Kevin Dick. He saved a bunch of tire early on in the run, and now he has a 4-second lead over Andrew Moore Jr. as we're down to 3 to go in stage number 2.
Yeah, so I am excited to see the super low downforce at Phoenix this weekend, but I'm also a little bit leery of it because hopefully it puts on great racing. We get rid of the aero push that cars behind had, but at the same time, I just don't know that we'll get the same level of competition that we've had at some of these short tracks with all the cars being so close together, being able to run the track as fast as they could.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to watch here. And quite frankly, you're not missing much here. They're the closest fight on the racetrack right now. Let's pick up Johnny Avila, who is catching Andrew Moore Jr., but he's down to half a second. Not much going on here in stage number 2, and we still have a ton of this race left to go.
This is kind of what I mean with the super low downforce package is, yeah, it's probably easier to follow a car right behind, but with the lack of downforce, you can't really run that high line like you could before. It's much harder to build up speed on non-used parts of the track. Everyone kind of has to run the same optimal line to get the most out of the car, which is the disadvantage of not having all the downforce that not a lot of people think about.
Green and white checkered flag goes in the air, and Northland Leisure stage number 2 goes to Kevin Dick. Remember, there will not be a caution this time unless one happens organically. By not having a caution flag, now we're really opening up the potential options in terms of strategy here.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to see green flag pit stops.
I think we're going to see them very soon, in fact. At least my gut is telling me we're likely to see this because Well, maybe not that soon. Kevin Dick is 31 laps into this stint. Johnny Avila, 49. Andrew Moore, Hunter Waters are now all 50 laps into their stint. There's still 83 to go, but the window is open that they can make it the rest of the way on fuel. I would imagine you're probably going to go another, 15 laps or so, or at least try to go another 15 laps and equalize your stint lengths?
I would almost say push this one as far as you can, especially if you're a guy like Kevin Dick that's so far in front. But the only time I say take the long pit is when you're way out in lead, like Kevin Dick is, which makes the short pit more viable, but at the same time, you're already out there. You've already got the 5.5-second lead. You might as well push it as far as you can and try and fight back against that short pit towards the end of the run when the checkered flag's going to come out. It's a double-edged sword no matter which way you take it. If you're Johnny Avila sitting second, I'd say take the short pit for the exact same reasons.
Well, the first of the cars on pit lane is going to be Mike Larch. Let's bring up his stop here in the side-by-side. Will Worsler has also been on pit lane for 1,600 seconds.
Now, if I've been in the... You know what? I think that's beyond the caution clock range, and I think we need to talk. I think those are the words that are trying to come out of my mouth.
Oh, that's awesome. The 2 is back out onto the racetrack, 14.52 seconds. The 8 of Justin Rideout also on pit lane. Man, these guys are way off of their best lap pace. Following along here with Andrew Moore Jr., his best lap of the race is a 27.980. Last lap, 29.585.
Yeah, and with numbers like that, especially with how far Johnny Avila has fallen back off of Kevin Dick, I'd say take the short pit now.
Yeah,
Dive in there and put the tires in the car. Because these guys that are pitting now, they're going to be way faster than you, and they're going to get in front of you. And God forbid, knocking on wood, if that caution comes out later, you're going to be screwed.
I mean, yeah, let's go on board. Just listen to the engine here of Andrew Moore Jr.'s car. He's down to almost 5,100 RPM at the midpoint of the corner.
Yeah, I mean, basically stalling this motor out. These engines idle close to 3,000 RPM. Like, when you're bringing it down that low, I just, me as a driver, I would have to grab fourth gear just because I'm afraid of, like, stalling this thing.
Yeah, I don't... It's odd to hear it. You can hear how flat the motor sounds.
Yeah, and... Now, I don't know if you at home drive a stick shift car on a daily basis, but there's a noise an engine makes when you're bogging it down, and especially in the rear wheel, I don't know if you would notice this in the sim or really care because we don't have random engine blowups. But when you bog an engine down that low, it starts to ping, and as an engine builder, that absolutely destroys engines. So I would just be downshifting just to save the pistons. But obviously with the sim you can get away with a lot more. You're not going to be melting pistons. So maybe that's the fastest way to do it. Maybe they've done the practice and they know, hey, you can get away with this and makes the tires last a little bit longer. But as an engine builder, I would definitely be yelling at my driver going, hey, you're making me have to work more. I don't like this. I don't know about you, but if someone melts a piston really good, it doesn't just slide out of the bore like a normal piston should. A lot of times you have to get the sledgehammer and a driver out and just start whacking that thing out of the bore.
Is something an interesting Hey, Patrick, an interesting thing that I'm seeing here, I wonder if this race could end up so slow that it's possibly time limited. Pick up race leader Kevin Dick here for a second. I am seeing 35 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, and we still have 72 laps to go, 73 laps to go. At 30 seconds a lap, you're really close to this becoming a timed race.
If we get another caution, it is a timed race. I don't know if you can just swap the lap counter over to timed, but we might have to as we get close to the end of this thing.
It will do it automatically when the calculators inside the graphics decide that it will be a timed race. It's going to flip over and say how much time's left.
Oh, that is fantastic. I'm starting to love this new software more and more.
Yeah. Okay, Mike Larch just came out of the pits, getting himself back on the lead lap. His last lap time, 28.575. Kevin Dick's last lap time, 29.383.
Throw the lap times out the window. Make it real easy for the viewer to visualize. Michael Larch just passed Kevin Dick like he was standing still, like he's a 93-year-old woman driving a Prius down the HOV lane of the 405.
Please direct all hate mail to Bizzle at nationalracingnetwork.com.
If you drive a Prius and want to send me hate mail, go for it.
Yeah, please do.
I have driven Prius. They're sporty cars. They are actually surprisingly quick. They've taken my breath away before. I've had a ton of fun driving a Prius. Everybody else on the road who drives a Prius, I get visibly upset when I get stuck behind a Prius because y'all don't drive them to their full potential.
Taking a look at timing and scoring here, there is nobody within 1 second of each other. The closest it is right now is going to be actually just Lee Campbell just getting within 1 second of Troy Haight, because Troy Haight is held up behind the lap car of Justin Rideout. Man, it is so weird.
I'm looking at timing and scoring, and there are no battles here on this racetrack.
Absolutely none. Actually, we have one. Thomas Wilhite battling Richard Fletcher. This is the fight for the 10th position. Fletcher, it's not going to be much of a fight. Fletcher, 64 laps on his tires. Wilhite with only 21 on his. He is out of there and gone. I just, at this point, I have to wonder who is going to be the first one to make the call and basically force everybody else's hand.
If you're Kevin Dick, you've already stuck to the strategy. Johnny Avila, I feel like there's still room to dig yourself out, but not much. I say he has to come in very soon, or someone like Andrew Moore or Hunter Waters is going to come in before them and just take the lead of this race.
Possible trouble on the racetrack here for Richard Fletcher. Let's see. Well, he's coming down pit lane. So there's your short answer. Lee Campbell also coming down pit lane this time. Campbell out of the 6th position. Let's pick up his pit stop, follow him from the overhead. So final round of pit stops are starting off here now with Richard Fletcher and Lee Campbell. Campbell's going to hit the box.
If I'm Johnny Avila, Andrew Moore Jr.'s Hunter Waters, even Troy Haight, I'd say I have to pit now. There's no choice. Kevin Dick, he's got us stuck on the strategy. He's been on it, and kind of just what he's doing, hoping for a caution. But if you're anyone else,
and even if you're Kevin Dick, all you have to do is cover when they come down pit lane. You know, when they make their move, that's when you're going to come down pit lane, the next lap by.
I mean, the only reason you're still staying out now is because A, I'm on the lead lap, and B, I'm hoping there's a caution soon. But I just don't think we're going to get one.
No, especially when you're talking about guys that at this point are used to managing garbage tires.
Yeah, and we see Will Worcester still in the pits for 2,100 seconds, almost 2,200 seconds.
Yeah, we're going to leave that graphic up just so you can see as soon as somebody does come down pit lane. But Hunter Waters saving a little bit of tire. He's able to pass Andrew Moore Jr. for the third position.
And I would say I got that pass done. I'm in front of him. Now I'm going to pit, and I'm going to pass him again. I can't wrap my head around why we're still staying out. My brain is just going off at red lights right now, like, gotta pit. Like, the math has worked itself out in my head. You have to come down pit road.
Yeah, because especially, like, Johnny Avila's 72 laps into his run. Hunter Waters, 73. Andrew Moore, 73. These guys, they don't have to run that many laps to the finish. At this point, you want to come down, I would think you come down now. That, to me, would be the strategic call that's going to win this race. Because you're going to be running seconds a lap faster. Not tenths, not a second. Plural seconds.
In my head, I'm pretending to be the crew chief here, and just in my head, it's like I'm flying a 747. It's just going stall, stall, pull up, pull up. And I'm like, just gotta pit, man.
Approaching lap times of a full 30 seconds. I mean, these guys are crawling through 1 and 2.
Are we going to have our first timed SRC race on broadcast?
I think they barely make it. But that's the other consideration, though, is if it is possibly a timed race, then you have even fewer laps that you have to run.
Yeah, which even just makes the alarms go off more. The master caution light is now stuck on in the airplane I'm flying. I can't even punch that sucker out. You gotta pit now.
Pick up Johnny Avila here. Well, he had made up almost a half a second that last lap, and then he gave it right back. Still sitting 6 and change seconds behind race leader Kevin Dick. Let's bring up Kevin Dick here, and we'll show you the summary, the battle box here. It's 6 and change seconds.
And it stayed right around 6 seconds. He's not picking up or losing any ground. He loses it going down the back stretch, and then he picks it back up to about 5.5 going down the front stretch.
Which is, I would imagine, the difference between Kevin Dick's run most of this race in 4th gear, where Johnny Avila's run it in 5th gear. So he's going to top out with a little bit higher speed down the straightaway.
Which, with this many laps left, I would say Johnny Avila comes in the pits.
Oh, he's coming right now.
Oh, no. Did he just throw this one away, losing it going into the pits?
I don't know that he lost it fully, but at the very least, it's going... Yeah, it's going to be a very slow pit entry for Johnny Avila. Troy Haight, Tyler Seville also on pit lane this time.
And that's going to hurt him, but still, I think just taking the short pit on Kevin Dick, he might just get it all back. And now with this few laps left, what I was trying to say is he can run the rest of this in 4th gear and make up all of that time on Kevin Dick. And then some.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is you're going to be able to go absolutely full blast. The only problem that you encounter is if you get a caution flag now before Kevin Dick pits, you're going to be a lap down. Right now, only 3 cars remain on the lead lap, That's Kevin Dick, Hunter Waters, Andrew Moore Jr. Hunter Waters, 12.7 seconds back of your race leader. And now Andrew Moore on the pit lane this time. We could potentially see Kevin Dick. Oh, man, this could be total mind-blowing stuff. Ah, nope, this time, race leader Kevin Dick on pit lane.
And with Kevin Dick now pitting a lap after Johnny Avila, I don't know if Avila can make it back because he did have that error coming into pit lane.
Hunter Waters staying out on the racetrack. 81 laps into this run.
Hunter Waters kind of banking on a caution now. He's sitting on that danger zone. If caution comes out now, he is golden. He will be pretty much your race leader. Maybe not, because there's a lot of cars that don't have, but there's going to be a lot of cars lapped down.
Correct. Andrew Moore Jr., 14.45 seconds the time of the stop. Kevin Dick down and away, 14.65. Hunter Waters making his way down pit lane.
Yeah, Johnny Avila not going to catch Kevin Dick, so unfortunately that error just put him out a little bit.
Hunter Waters looks good in the throwback Skull Bandit number 7. Hunter's Fried Pickles on the side of that machine. Whoa, we've got one car sideways on the front stretch. Caution is out, and it's going to be Thomas Wilhite right as Kevin Dick comes past Hunter Waters on the racetrack. Caution is out with 25 minutes and 50 laps remaining.
And that doesn't work for Hunter Waters. There's a lot of cars left on the lead lap again. So, unfortunately, that strategy didn't work out because that's going to put Kevin Dick right back in the lead, and Johnny Avila had to lose 2 spots through it because of his error.
Yeah, the error cost Johnny Avila a bunch. Let's take a look here at the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay. See what happened to Thomas Wilhite. You can see the car just starting to twitch, break loose. Big contact down to the inside wall and slides right up the racetrack, about halfway. Keeps the car locked down, takes the tow. But unfortunately, that means Thomas Wilhite will be on pit lane and will put us under the caution flag. Now, with this thing running under caution and 60-second laps, 57.6 was the last lap time for Kevin Dick. I almost think this race has to go to time at this point. And I'm almost wondering, the more I kind of think about this, is this where... Man, I'm trying to do the mental gymnastics in my head here. If I'm Lee Campbell, Andrew Moore Jr., Troy Haight, they're 4th, 5th, and 6th. I'm thinking I have to make my move quickly because if we get more caution laps, this race is definitely going to finish to time. Then you really have to get a move on. Now, we're not going to bring anybody up into the booth to ask that question because I don't want to give any individual team an advantage here because they do have discords. Obviously, if you're listening, you're smart enough to listen to the broadcast, then good on you. But This is absolutely going to be really, really interesting to watch here as this race gets down. We are down to 24 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I don't know that they could finish the race in 24 minutes.
Let's see. We've got 48, 49 laps to go. Even if they go back to running 27-second laps, we're still seeing lap times. That last lap, 1 minute 6 behind the iRacing safety truck. Very, very interesting how this is all going to shake out here as the safety truck is in. By the way, we haven't even done one of these yet tonight. When the field comes off turn 4, we're going to give you at home a chance to crank it up once. Enjoy the show. This one's about to get crazy. Oh, man, what are we thinking here now, Patrick? It's down to 22 minutes, 20 seconds remaining. Last lap, 28.158 for Kevin Dick, so still about a half second off of the fastest laps we've seen. But now, in my mind, you've got to be thinking it's go time here if you're a little bit deeper in the pack.
So 45 seconds, or 45 laps at 27 seconds a lap. So there's 22 minutes left?
21:30. Andrew Moore, by the way, just setting a new fastest lap of the race. 27.57 seconds.
If we can average a lap time from now to the checker flag of 28 seconds, we will finish this race at 175 laps.
Man, that's going to be tight.
Advertised checker flag. With the way we've seen the fall off, I think this is going to be a 170 lap race. But remember, you only need to average 28 seconds. So as long as they're setting faster than that now during the first half of the run, and then setting 29-second laps towards the back end of the run, we still might average right at that 28-second mark. Now, I'm just using rounded off numbers. We can get more precise than that if we wanted to, but there's no need to. This is race cars, not physics.
So keeping an eye here on Andrew Moore Jr., Johnny Avila, Kevin Dick at the head of the field. This is where the race is going to be decided. Possibly Hunter Waters and Troy Haight running 4th and 5th, maybe saving a little bit of tire. This is going to be interesting to watch, though, as this thing runs.
Yeah, Andrew Moore Jr. now looking like he's putting a ton of pressure on Johnny Avila. These three up here are just absolutely flying away from the rest of the field. There's a gap of well over a second between Andrew Moore Jr. in 3rd and Hunter Waters in 4th. Andrew Moore Jr. now looking pretty much right up the rear bumper of Johnny Avila, looking like he wants to make a move coming into what is now turn 3. Still sitting right there on the bumper. He is looking to get something out of this race, and maybe something better than a top 3. Kevin Dick pushing away now, still even harder. I don't know if this is the right move towards the beginning of this tire run, because he might just be burning his stuff up. Johnny Avila has been very good at saving his tires and kind of running the same pace the whole race. It's the one thing when I've coached under him that he's taught me is just kind of lay back and run 85% of what you can do, and you can run that 85% for the full run.
I think that's going to be interesting to watch as that develops. Who is trying to manage the tires as best they can? There's so much going on here inside the cockpit of these race cars. We've seen Johnny Avila go big brain and actually shut the car off before. It seems like there's a lot that these drivers are having to contend with now, even with the potentially either short nature of the race or knowing that they're going to have to push.
Yeah, and frankly, these top three, I think, have pushed enough. They are in their own league compared to the rest of the field. I'm not sure I'd want to push anymore. At this point, kind of want to settle in and wait for the race to come to you. This is going to be a second place day. It's a second place day. I would just sit there and let it be rather than push really hard and screw something up and turn a second place day into an 8th place day. Obviously, this is Kevin Dick's race to lose. So let him make that mistake, but don't force yourself to make that mistake trying to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's still a bunch of laps left. You could fall as far as 12th if you screw up now. Obviously, the deeper we get into this, the fewer positions you're going to be able to drop. But we still have 9 cars on the lead lap. Richard Fletcher is only 2 laps down. Justin Rideout only 3 laps behind the leader. Rideout running in the 11th position. You really almost have to just kind of say, like you said, take what you can get and make that what you're happy with.
Yeah, nobody wants to finish second. Second place is the first loser. But at the same time, there's no reason to throw away a second place. Second place is still a damn good finish. And you can go home and brag to your wife and your dog about finishing second place. You're not going to do that if you come home.
No, actually, I think this is one of those races where you go, I am really happy with a second place finish, because we've seen so many cars loose, wrecking, having issues at various points during the runs. This really is a survival of the fastest type deal, as we're now down to 15 minutes 40 seconds remaining. On that last... Okay.
Like Watkins Glen during the Winter Series, where I went into there fully expecting to finish in the back half of the field, just kind of running my own race, and I got up in the second and I was thrilled. There was no reason for me to chase down the 15 seconds that Tyler Seville was in front of me. Just hit my mark, go around and finish second and be damn happy about that, because that's all I was getting out of the truck, and there's no reason to loop it, hit the wall, and end up further back than I started.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Kevin Dick has really done a pretty good job of managing this race. Looking at the battle box, it's sitting right about 1 second. Johnny Avila is closing in a little bit at times, but he's not making up the big chunks of ground that we're going to have to see. Now, here's where things really get interesting, though, Patrick. I don't want to harp too much on this time thing, but you said we had to average 28 seconds per lap, even. You said 28 seconds. We're already up to 23 or 28.4, 28.5. This could be tighter than we think to making this all the way to the end.
Yeah, I was a bit conservative on my numbers. I was not using sig figs. I just punched in the time for 22 seconds and do the whole 30 thing. As well as I just punched in 45 laps. We had about 43, so the real figure could be about 28.3, 28.4, which is about what they're running right now. So if they go any slower than this for the rest of the run, which they will, I still think this is going to be a time race even with my conservative figures.
Man, this is going to be fun to watch develop over the end of this run here. Let's go on board with Kevin Dick. He's still in 4th gear. Obviously, you're going to get to the top of the rev range, but see what he falls to at the midpoint of the corner. Down to about 6,100 RPM or so. And that's like you talked about. It's about a 1,300 RPM difference between running 4th versus running 5th.
Yeah, and you can still hear how much the car bogs down going that far down. If I was a ballsier driver and I was behind the wheel of these cars, which I am usually pretty aggressive on the rev ranges, I like to keep it as high as possible, I myself might be shifting to 3rd. I don't know if that'd be advantageous, but I would just feel that that's the right thing to do, especially pulling the engine down that low. Whether or not that's faster is up to the drivers to figure out.
Yeah, Johnny Avila doing the same thing. He's holding fourth gear as well, hitting about 6,000, 6,100 RPM.
Johnny Avila is a driver I know that does not like the shift. When me and him were doing some coaching at Bristol for last season, I like the shift to third at Bristol, which a lot of drivers don't, but I'm able to hit the same lap times everyone else is, shifting down to third. It just feels more comfortable to me. And he was trying doing the same thing, and just, how do you do that? The car just wants to get unsettled, doesn't like shifting in the mid-corner, and it's a very hard thing to do. It's not a thing a lot of drivers like to do because it does unsettle the car. But if you get used to it and you get the rev match just perfect, it feels natural. But it's not a thing a lot of drivers are very comfortable with.
Will be 25 laps to go, this time by the start-finish line for race leader Kevin Dick. Hunter Waters just coming past Andrew Moore Jr. to put him up into the third position. Let's go on board with Hunter here, see what he's doing inside that car. He's another guy, looks like he's running fourth gear, trying to keep the revs up as much as he can.
Yeah, I think at this point in the race, how late we all grab tires, definitely fourth gear is the way to go. You're going to be just a touch faster staying in fourth. You can see some of the drivers putting that RPM range into the red line. But really, fuel is not a concern, and you're going to want the extra engine braking, because with the extra engine braking, you get on the binders later, you can go into the corners harder and get the same mid-corner speed.
Let's see, the only close-ish battles on the racetrack right now is this fight. Hunter Waters, Andrew Moore, Mike Larch. They're all within about a second and a half of each other. So we'll hang out and watch this battle, at least see how this one develops. Now down to 23 to go here in Phoenix. 23 to go and 10 and a half minutes left. Lap times now approaching 29 seconds at the front of the field.
Quick math in my head, you're going to have to be at like a 28.8 to a 29-second lap if we're going to make it to the checkered flag at the advertised distance. They are cutting it incredibly tight tonight, and with just how much slower these cars are going to get throughout the run, and if we get another caution, it's almost definitely a time race. They pretty much have to run green to the end and turn qualifying laps each and every time to make it under the advertised distance. It's going to be tight.
Mike Larch inside of Andrew Moore Jr. He'll get that position picked up cleanly. Moore giving up a little bit of time. Larch, a native of Mantua, Ohio, driving for Swamp Fox Motorsports.
I was up right through that area a couple weekends ago. It's a very quiet, very farmland area of Ohio. I'm surprised they have internet out there.
Again, let's send all hate mail to Bizzle at nationalracingnetwork.com. We're going to have to turn that into a graphic.
Yeah, that's Amish country. You're going to have to send them my my post address.
The gap sitting between race leader Kevin Dick and second place Johnny Avila at about 1.5 seconds. This is the tightest fight on the racetrack right now, but you can see Andrew Moore is suffering. That car just does not want to get up and go off the corner.
Yeah, Mantua is right where I think it is, right northeast of Streetsboro, and I'm almost 100% sure that is Amish country. I've driven through there. I've driven through the marsh wetlands. Almost 100% that's Amish country up there. Yeah, that's just east of Aurora. That is definitely Amish country.
Kevin Dick actually picking up the pace a little bit. Last lap was in the 29-second bracket. This time, 28.960 for lap number 157 for Kevin Dick.
I do want to say, good thing about Mantua. It's just south of Nelson's Ledges Racetrack, one of the greatest racing facilities in the country, and they have a 25-hour race there. It's freaking fantastic.
That sounds like something we would do in the TNT series. A TNT special event, if you will.
You should. It's with affordable car. Like it's not chump car, it's not lemons, but it's not with top level racing cars either. If we get all of the big names in TNT together, we could absolutely build a race car and go out there and have a good time and maybe put a good result in.
Andrew Moore falling off the pace so quickly. Tyler Seville just able to come past, exiting turn number 4. So Moore now back to the 6th position. His last lap time, 29.917 to Tyler Seville's 29.3. And the gap is closing at the front of the field. It's now down to 1.2 seconds.
You said they're running 29 nines?
Yes, 29 flat, 28.9 for Kevin Dick and Johnny Avila.
How many minutes are left?
6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Oh man, so we are right on the mark. It is going to be incredibly tight.
Yeah.
That gap slowly shrinking. Are we going to see it drop less than a second? Not down the straightaway, but coming into the corner we might.
Yeah, it seems like Kevin Dick is able to get a better corner exit, but he's giving up a lot of speed on corner entry, almost giving up too much speed on corner entry.
The way it's ebbing and flowing is very much like the time differences you see, or the relative differences you see on a road course, where it gets real tight coming into the corner, and then as everyone gets on the straightaway, it gets real wide again. You don't normally see that in a road. It's usually pretty consistent, but it's kind of strange to see. But I guess the corners here are so much slower compared to the straightaways. You would see that here in Phoenix.
Yeah, especially with the tire fall off that they're experiencing.
Yeah, I don't normally think of Phoenix as a oval that drives like a road course, kind of like you would Pocono or Indy. But this track, I guess you could almost put into that category.
Last time by, Johnny Avila 62 thousandths of a second faster than Kevin Dick. This time by, Kevin Dick faster by almost an identical margin. The gap still sitting right about 1.2 seconds as race leader Kevin Dick coming up on the lap car of John Moeller. Moeller in the 13th position, 31 laps down. So we are down to 10 laps to go here at Phoenix. Oh, Moeller slides up the racetrack. This is not what Kevin Dick wanted to see. And now Moeller's going to clear out of the way. The gap between Dick and Avila is now inside of 1 second.
Moeller is a very, very difficult car to pass, especially when you're lapping him. It's, I don't want to say unpredictable, but he's definitely not one of the top level drivers in the series where you kind of know what they're going to do, same thing, lap in, lap out. He's still a developing driver where some laps he's going to enter real low, some laps he's going to enter real high, and as one of the top guys in the series, you really have to work around that and work your way around him. Sometimes it's very, very fun.
I'll tell you what, Johnny Avila is making up almost 0.2 of a second at corner entry, and he's lost it all by the time they're exiting the corner. That set of corners, he gained about a 10.
Yeah, that gap is definitely, obviously shrinking. It's just a matter of if he's going to get moved on. Catching up to his rear bumper is one thing, getting around him is another. And with how quickly the start-finish line comes after turn 4, you don't even have a straightaway to drag race down. The move is made down what is now the backstretch, where you're going to have that drag race. You might be side by side or probably clear by the time you make the start-finish line.
And I'll tell you what, Patrick, your call on time is going to be about spot on. 3 minutes remaining right now, just as they're getting to the start-finish line. Call it about 6 seconds short. 6 laps to go and under 3 minutes remaining.
When I actually do the math with the calculator, it's always spot on. I will stand by that. It is always spot on. When I do the back of the math, like back of my head, you can put a 50% safety margin in that. When I would crew chief some of the drivers in Road to Pro, I would scare them with the fuel numbers because they'd run out of fuel going across the checkered flag.
Coming around the lap car of Justin Rideout in the 11th position. It's now inside of 0.6 of a second. Inside of half a second now. Right about 4 laps to go here at Phoenix. Man, Kevin Dick, that car is just so quick on corner exit. And this is where you really have to watch. If you're Johnny Avila, this is the deal where you're going to push too hard and lose the shot.
This is why this is one of Kevin Harvick's favorite racetracks. It's not just because it's on the West Coast and Kevin Harvick's a West Coast kid. This track really rewards slow in, fast out, and I guess you can compare it to a road course in that respect, where you can enter the corners really slowly and really punch out of them, and that's exactly what Kevin Dick's doing. He's losing it all to Johnny Avila coming into the corner and just punching it out of it, where Johnny Avila is taking the opposite approach and sacrificing the entire length of this damn near quarter-mile long straightaway.
It's going to be 2 laps to go and 60 seconds remaining. So it looks like we will go the full advertised distance on this one, but not by much. Can Johnny Avila get there? He's still sitting right about a half second behind. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Phoenix. The lead back up to 0.7 of a second. Kevin Dick has to hold a straight wheel. Avila's all the way down on the apron trying to gain ground, but it's not going to work. Oh, man. Way loose off the corner as well.
At this point, I would say, Johnny, you're in second. You're going to finish second. Just hang on to her.
Off of 4, checkered flag in the air. Kevin Dick gets the win at Phoenix. Johnny Avila comes home second. Hunter Waters will finish tonight in the 3rd position. 4th to Mike Larch. 5th, Tyler Seville. What a crazy run. Johnny Avila's going to give him a shot. Yeah, well done, sir. That is exactly what that one was. Is Kevin Dick going to have any tires left to do the burnout with?
Oh, absolutely. He'll burn all that rubber off that thing. Kevin Dick coming back, proving he's still got it. He's going to be in this title fight this year, and hopefully we get another tie race coming into the last race of this season again.
So Kevin Dick burns them down here on the front straightaway. Let's take a look at your race results. The win was by 1.7 seconds after Johnny Avila's extracurricular activities inside of turns 1 and 2 on the white flag lap. Hunter Waters, Mike Larch, Tyler Seville complete your top 5. 6 through 10 going to be Andrew Moore Jr., Troy Haight, Lee Campbell, Richard Smith, and Richard Fletcher in 10th, finishing 3 laps behind the race leaders. Justin Rideout, Thomas Wilhite, John Moeller, AJ Digby, and Tim Knott back through 15th. Will Worsler, JD Wardlow, Daniel Pinkston, and Brandon Bledsoe will round out your field here this evening. Neither of those two cars getting a lap in the books. Man, that race was interesting. There is no other word that I can come up with that fits this one like interesting, because there were so many storylines that were coming into play there.
Yeah, interesting is a good word to describe it. It was fun to see this new aero package. Let me just put it that way. It's a different kind of racing. I would say it was similar to what we saw in the early 90s, and rose-colored glasses. Yeah, I think that's the best way I could put it. It definitely puts on a show. It shows who is the best at driving the cars. But I don't know, the racing that it puts on is going to be particularly fantastic, and that's something we're going to have to see in the real world come this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting watch here. I believe Kevin Dick is trying to find Victory Lane.
I believe you can get to it here at Phoenix.
Yes, there you go.
Yep, here he is. He is not going to do the Noah Gragson and burn it out into Victory Lane.
Yes, but I will give him credit, though. That is an impressive find to get that car up into Victory Lane here at the Phoenix Raceway. We're going to have to make a Victory Lane camera now. But with that, let's get ready for our Victory Lane interviews here, and let's bring up...
As premier advertiser of events that break iRacing rules, you can get in the Victory Lane at more tracks on the iRacing surface than you think you can.
Well, the guy who got there tonight is now in the room with us to chat. That is Kevin Dick. Congratulations, man. Did you have any idea this race could go to time? Did you think it would go to time? And talk us through this one, because this was just, I would imagine, pretty intense behind the wheel of that 52.
It was a nail biter. Seeing as how the race went here last year for the final, with Tyler having that set of tires, I figured us getting that first caution on the first stage to try and save a set there, which, I mean, definitely paid out in my favor. Being able to capture the second stage, definitely pulling away from Johnny and everyone else, but then getting that caution there just after we pit, I wasn't really hoping for that, because I would have probably still had my 5-6 second lead, and then I could have just, coasted there, just, saved my stuff and, just took it easy on putting in cruise control, but that wasn't really the case, so...
No, and ultimately, you kind of did that for a little bit in that last stint, but then we ended up with Johnny making up a lot of ground on you late in this race. Talk us through that one as well, because that couldn't have been easy to deal with either.
No, towards the end of there, the tires were definitely going away, so I really felt like we were pushing a bit too hard earlier in the run, so I figured the tires were going to give out sooner than later. Well, sooner than what they were going to, because the last couple laps, they were really giving out. You really had to back up your entries, or else you were just sliding right up. Lap cars, for me, they just were not giving me any room at all, but then it seems like they would just let everyone else go, so that's sort of a bummer.
Well, they want to stay in the lead lap.
Well, it kind of helps when you're more than 40 laps down.
Yeah, that one was we'll just say interesting to watch develop here. Man, but I'll tell you what, this is big from a points perspective. You're going to gain a little bit of ground. In fact, maybe even be leaving here tied for the points lead. Sounds like we're going to be back to a one-on-one battle here between you and Johnny.
Yeah, let's keep it going all the way and make it interesting.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations on picking up the win here tonight. And before we let you go, make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of.
Yeah, give a shout out to the guys at Pie-Eyed, great group of guys to race with. Give a shout out to Custom Pace and Diecast, Jordan painting great looking cars, and to Sam and Jordan for running this league, and you guys up in the booth.
All right, bud. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to check in with us here. And let's bring up the guy who I'm looking forward to this interview, if only because I can ask him what was going through your head in turn 3 of that last lap, because I don't think that had any prayer of working.
I got close, kinda. If I was just a little bit closer, I was kind of just hoping to just slot in front of him and then to kind of just slow down, force him to hit me type thing.
I always get excited when Johnny Vila comes to an interview just to hear his opening statement.
Hey, you gotta send it, man.
I'll tell you what, it seemed like this entire race was a bit of full send, because outside of the first handful of lap when the tires were good, it seemed like you guys were just running on hot garbage the rest of the night.
Yeah, hot garbage with a freaking ice track underneath it. Like, I don't think I was ever full throttle till I was like on the straightaway.
How difficult is that? I mean, you're a guy who likes to push and likes to charge. Does that just like aggravate you behind the wheel?
Nah, it's fun. Dirt track the sun and gun.
Slide job! Slide job!
That's what I was trying to do on that last lap, I'll tell you.
That's what it was. It was dive it into 3, cut all the way down through the infield, actually inside the wall is where you were pointing. But man alive, it was a great show. Obviously, you and Kevin looks like you're going to be the ones battling head-to-head for this championship again this season.
Yeah, he's definitely really fast, so it'll be fun to have more battles. See who comes out on top.
You are going to have some team competition there as well, because teammate Hunter Waters entered the night 1 point back of second place in third. He was 3 points back of the points lead. Finishing third, you three, it's not going to be a two-man show now. You've got extra guys you got to worry about.
Yeah, he just keeps waving that pickle around. He won't go away.
Oh my God. On that note, Johnny, congratulations on the podium finish tonight here. Before we let you go, do all the sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Well, first of all, I got to thank all my teammates. Definitely everybody's been doing a great job. Unfortunate luck for AJ and Will, but you got to respect Richard Fletcher coming out with a top 10 in this thing.
Yeah, Fletch had a really good run tonight. There were a few guys that Troy Haight had a fantastic run tonight. That car showed a ton of speed at times. Johnny, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to check in with us. It's always an adventure. Thank you much. We appreciate that. Let's bring up our third place finisher tonight here. A guy who, according to Johnny Avila, was waving his pickle around all night long, Mr. Hunter Waters.
Waving his pickle around and getting the hard charger.
Yes. I'll tell you what, man, that race was interesting. It is about the only way I can say it. You were wrecked, I think, either 2 or 3 times at various points tonight. You just didn't finish it.
Yeah, that is very true. I tried to really just take advantage off like the initial start, the first couple laps, kind of with everybody bundled together. Tried to get some track position there for the first stage, and then I think I got up to maybe 6th place or something like that, and then about killed it then, and like you're saying, another time or two. But that's what this track will do, and I kind of made me a bit more wary about the apron and the dog leg. So just trying to pay attention to that, and obviously pretty happy to come home third.
Yeah, and this was a big points night for you, because with Johnny and Kevin finishing where they did, anything outside the top 3 was going to put you into a little bit of an early season hole. Right now, you've got to be super confident, though. You're going to be within 5 or 6 points of these guys after a handful of races. That's a great early start to the season.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I even gave away 2 or 3 points from the first stage there too, making that mistake. But, that's all a part of, there's a portion where I just drove up and passed Andrew and Johnny, driving a little bit harder just to lead a lap, always points conscious in mind, trying to get the best finish that you can. Of course, Johnny and Kevin both are pretty much aliens, so to beat them in any capacity is going to take more luck than skill probably. But I just got to try to position myself to be there to take advantage of it if something ever happens.
Well, we are enjoying the show you're putting on for us. We appreciate it. And before we let you go, make sure you get all your big sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of as well.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out Law Chevrolet Buick. They do a lot for me. Shout out Hunter's Fried Pickles. The paint scheme that Jordan's put together looks awesome. I absolutely love it. So definitely shout out to him for that. Custom Paints and Designs on Facebook. You guys up in the booth, obviously doing a great broadcast every week. Just makes it enjoyable, even if I have a bad finish, to go back and watch it. So shout out everybody at WWR. Obviously, Johnny would have liked to have won, but Kevin is extremely fast and equally respectable. So I know Johnny, that's not the worst loss he could have. Or maybe that does make it the worst loss. I don't know. But yeah, thanks to everybody in the league. Sam and Jordan, they put on a great. They do a great job as far as admins go. Tyler, did a pretty good job. I know if there was a caution at the end there, he had an extra set, so he would have probably eaten everybody alive. So shout out to that tire saving strategy. 130 laps ain't nothing to blink an eye at. But yeah, pretty good night for WWR.
Yeah, all a very good night for you guys. And Hunter, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to check in with us here. And man, I'll tell you what, Patrick, that's hearing that's like borderline terrifying, quite frankly. Some of the stuff that these guys were able to do in terms of tire strategy. We got kind of what we expected here, though, at Phoenix. This place was a little bit wild and a little bit pit heavy.
The desert.
Yeah.
From hearing what the drivers are saying, I'm looking more forward to the race this weekend. Maybe not so much as just the raw usual, yeah, go crash some cars NASCAR fan, but definitely as a sit back and watch the strategy NASCAR fan. I feel like this could be a really fun race.
Yeah,
this definitely won't be a race where you want to go to a bar and watch it and sit back, have a couple drinks. But this, if you're a diehard real strategy, maybe if you're an IndyCar fan, you want to watch an NASCAR race, this might be the one to watch this weekend.
Yeah, and with potentially not a ton of caution flags, I don't know. I think we might hear the screaming even more loudly about the quantity of commercials on the Fox broadcast. But we'll see how that all shakes out.
I do want to comment on the cautions that everyone's been bitching about over the Fox Sports. What we saw at the Daytona 500, the 2001 Daytona 500 had like 30% more cautions or more commercial breaks than the 2023 race.
Yes, it did, but there's a big caveat to that, and that is what they define as a commercial break. When you start to factor in the way they integrate them into the broadcast now, significantly more frustrating as a viewer, at least from my perspective. When you start talking about the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers and showing those graphics on the screen for extended periods and the TRD race update, and it's all Toyota drivers and they're talking about how great the Toyota engines are doing, that to me is commercial time as well. You're not covering the race there, you're doing the sponsored segment.
I did not realize they didn't use that as commercial break time.
No, that is not counted.
Break time.
No.
Okay.
And side-by-sides don't necessarily count either. That depends
they don't
on
count either. Oh.
That depends on who's doing the math and how.
Then I believe we need to redo some math.
Yes. The sponsored segments are the stuff that drives me nuts. But anyway, that's going to wrap up our broadcast week. It's week 13 on the iRacing platform, so no officials tomorrow night. But that means Monday night, the Silver Crowns are back on the NRN airways. I am so jacked up to get to say that. Monday night Silver Crowns. Every other Tuesday, basically, through the end of May, will be the TNT Shock Series. Wednesday is the Sim Racers Club. Thursday afternoons at 4 and either 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. We'll see where it shakes out once the time change happens. Lotus 49s, Lotus 79s, and then the Friday happy hour Camel GT show that is going to be more interactive conversation talking about racing for the weekend with iRacing stuff going on screen. If you're anticipating a traditional multi-class coverage of a Camel GT race or what you might see out of the IMSA series, that's not what you're going to get. We are going to be hanging out, having some buddies in the booth with us, talking everything racing coming up over the weekend, and we're going to get to watch some great cars out of the Camel GT series while we're doing it as well. I cannot wait for those shows to get kicked
Camel
off.
cars are some of the best cars on the service. It's a shame more people don't race them. If you like high downforce, the crazy racing of Formula One, go run the Nissan. If you like your GT3 racing but wish it were just a little bit more difficult, go run the Audi. And you will have a smile on your face the entire time you're running them. It's the multi-class racing everyone loves, and it's old school.
Yeah, and you get far fewer dentists.
Oh yeah, if I gave my dentist the keys to that thing, he'd be wrecked in turn one like the Corvette pace car driver.
That
I'm
is
not saying this thing. I got a dentist appointment tomorrow.
Good luck, bud. With that, we are getting the heck on out of here. For Bizzle, my name is Chris Graham. It has been a pleasure having you hang out with us. Thank you so much for showing up. We appreciate everybody that helps make these broadcasts happen as well. Check out the title sponsor, Sim Speed Shop, at simspeedshop.com. Until Monday night, the Silver Crowns. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.